Hi Foodies, it's Anna Maria from WFPB Foodies by Anna Maria. Jay and I had the honor of meeting and interviewing Dr. Hana Kahleova from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. We also participated in one of her presentations as live testimony of how we live a whole foods and plant-based lifestyle and how it improved our health and our life for the better. Dr. Kahleova has also published more than a dozen nutrition studies. She is also the author of Vegetarian Diet in the Treatment of Diabetes. As impressive as her credentials are, she also lives what she preaches. Hi Foodies, we have Dr. Hana Kahleova with us today, and we're going to be asking her some of the questions that you sent me and some of the questions that I might have also still. Maybe some fun questions about what she does in her own whole foods and plant-based lifestyle. Hi Dr. Kahleova.
Hi everybody.
So tell me a little bit about why you chose to be a lifestyle medicine physician.
That's a great question. You know, when I was finishing medical school and I was going through the rotations through the hospital, I was really touched by the way people with diabetes were treated and by the food they were getting in the hospital. I thought it was awful. You know, they were just being told, limit your carbohydrates, limit the amount of potatoes and rice and bread. And they ended up eating more meat and cheese that made their diabetes even worse and made their diabetic complications come sooner. And I was just horrified looking at this, and I thought, this has to change. There has to be a better way. And at that point, there was no study showing any benefits of plant-based eating for people with type 2 diabetes. So I decided to run a study like this. So this was my first study that I designed at the end of medical school, using a plant-based diet for people with type 2 diabetes, comparing it with the conventional portion control diet. And we found out that the plant-based diet was much, much better. People lost more weight, their diabetes improved more, and more importantly, the plant-based diet actually addressed the underlying causes of diabetes, such as oxidative stress and insulin resistance. And it improved beta cell function, how the beta cells in the pancreas are able to produce insulin. All of that was improved on the plant-based diet. And once I finished my first study, I was like, wow, this is so good. I better keep going, you know. So I was completely happy after the first study was finished, because I saw lives changed. You know, 43% of people were able to reduce their diabetes medications or even discontinue them on the plant-based diet, compared with only 5% in the control group.
And relatively quickly.
Exactly, in only 6 months. And you know, once I presented the findings at the American Diabetes Association conference, some skeptical people were asking, you know, like we all the time we hear about the success like on a diet, but then people regain the weight, they lose all the benefits. What do you say about that? Did you follow your participants after the study was over? And I said, well, that's a good idea. So we added a follow-up. So even when the study was over, we followed the people for another year. And they came for measurements. You know, we measured their body weight, we took their A1C. And the plant-based group was still better off in terms of their weight management and their A1C and the lower need for medications compared with the former portion-controlled group.
Wow. Wow. That is science. That is scientific evidence. What would you recommend to somebody if they're willing to explore the whole foods plant-based lifestyle? Do you recommend that they go cold turkey or slowly? And if they choose on their own to do it slowly, what can they expect from that?
What a great question. Is it better to dive in and just, you know, do all the changes at once, or is it better to like slowly, introduce the changes? Personally, I believe that it's easier and it's more effective to do it quickly. And here's why. In our studies, we usually give people 1 week just to explore the options and not to make the changes just yet completely 100%, but just to explore the options and plan. What am I gonna eat for breakfast? What am I gonna eat for lunch? You know, and just explore all your options, write down all the recipes that you want to try, all the meals that you want to tweak, and then the second week go all in and just do all the meals plant-based. Or sometimes we also do it in 2 stages, and we say, okay, the first week we will be changing all your breakfasts, and the second week we're also adding lunches and dinners. And that way, you know, in 2 weeks, you just introduce the whole change.
So a quick, slow progression, but not.
That's right. We give them a little bit time to prepare and, you know, think about what am I gonna eat, but not too much time. You know, and that kind of the reason why I personally recommend this quick change is that it forces you to be more creative and more resourceful. You know, all of a sudden you're removing so many foods, and it forces you to come up with substitutions. What am I gonna eat instead? And it forces you to explore more options. Oh, I didn't know they have like this, and I didn't know, you know, mushrooms tasted so delicious. And, you know, you explore more recipes in a shorter period of time, which gives you like a quicker perspective of what's out there, what's available, and you can really utilize the resources more quickly. That's number 1. Number 2, you also experience the benefits more quickly, which keeps you going. Once you start feeling better, you're like, wow, this is amazing. I have so much energy. My sleep is better. Let me just continue. How can I make this work? You know? Whereas if you make the changes more slowly, sometimes it's disappointing to people because they don't see a lot of results. If you don't do all of it, you know, as you were supposed to, if you're still eating a lot of fat, let's say, you may not experience any weight loss.
And does that cause the yo-yoing as well?
That's right.
With the numbers, not just the weight, but with the numbers?
Yeah, that's right. You may feel discouraged that you're putting in some effort, but it's not really showing in the numbers.
Okay. So that, I'm glad we went cold turkey then.
But at the same time, if somebody, you know, each person is different. There may be people for whom, you know, going slow may be a better way, but just be aware of those limitations. Be prepared that it may take a while for you to see the results. But if you have a plan, if you already know that in a month or so you will be able to make the whole transition, if that makes more sense to you, you know, if it works for you, then great. But just be aware of the challenges that may come along the way.
So have the end goal, because if I'm hearing you correctly, and you choose to go slowly, you might just stagnate and not move the numbers.
That's right. Yeah, you may feel discouraged that you don't see much progress.
Okay. All right.
But once you make the change, you know, now you will start seeing the changes. So if that's what you need, if that's the time frame you need to make the change, just be aware that during the transition you may not see much change. But once you make it, you will start, you know, seeing all the results.
All the positive feedback that your body is going to give you. A lot of people think, well, the Mediterranean is healthy and it has avocado and nuts and nut butters and oils. So can I leave some of those items, especially the avocado and olive oil and the healthy oils in there, and still be able to reverse my diseases and be able to lose the weight?
What a great question. The Mediterranean diet is super popular, and that's why we decided to test it out against a low-fat vegan diet. Now, when I talk about low-fat vegan, I mean a diet that consists of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes, and it has a low amount of fat. It's not a no-fat diet, it's a low-fat diet. That means we limit the fat content to 30 grams a day. So we tell people to minimize the oil consumption if they buy packaged foods, to go for those products that have less than 3 grams of fat per serving, so that it doesn't add up to more than 30 grams a day. And that way you see the results fairly quickly. So we compared a Mediterranean diet with a low-fat vegan diet for 16 weeks. And after 16 weeks, the participants switched over to the opposite diet. So each participant tried both. And we found that most people didn't lose any weight on the Mediterranean diet, which was really disappointing to many people. So that kind of goes back to, like, can I do the changes gradually? Well, technically you can, but be prepared that you will not see much progress. So even, favoring white meat and doing the olive oil and the nuts and seeds.
So even the lean seafood, fish, and taking out all the other animals still showed no changes?
No changes in body weight. There was one benefit on the Mediterranean diet, and that was a decrease in their blood pressure. So there were some positive changes, but again, if you're making so much effort and putting so much work into making changes, why don't you just do what's more effective, which is the low-fat vegan diet, which not only led to weight loss and improved blood lipids and improved insulin sensitivity and reduced blood pressure, it just gave people all the cardiometabolic benefits that we measured.
Awesome. That is enlightening, actually, because it makes sense to our journey, because we left seafood a little bit, once a week in the beginning. And when we decided to take it out, we saw the changes happening quickly. One of the most common things that people say that deters them is in the beginning of a whole foods plant-based diet, they start having pains, gases, bloatedness from beans and fiber.
Yes.
So they stop. What do you recommend?
What an important question. Once you start eating more fiber, you also need to make sure that you drink a lot of water, and you may take some walks after your meals to keep your bowels moving. That will really help you. With the beans, you may need to just introduce smaller amounts in the beginning, as much as you can take. So let's say you haven't eaten any beans until now, and you want to start eating your beans because of the health benefits. Well, you can start with only a quarter cup a day, and in the first week or two you eat only a quarter cup a day. Then the next week or two you increase it to half a cup a day, and your gut bacteria will gradually adjust, and then you can eat more and more, and without the gas and all the side effects. And if somebody is still struggling with gas, what helps is some seaweed that you put into with the beans when you cook them. There are certain spices that may help. So look into the spices. There's also products in the pharmacy store that may help with gassiness, such as Beano.
Yes, we lived off of that.
But be aware that the gassiness will eventually go away as your gut microbiome adjusts, but that may take a few weeks or even months.
Yeah.
So if you kind of increase the amount of beans gradually, that will help.
Awesome. So that makes sense as well. We lived off of some of those over-the-counter ones for about 2 to 3 months. I think I regulated quicker than my husband, so everybody's going to be a little different. What do you say to people regarding soy? We get a lot of questions of, is it safe? Does it cause cancer? Does it grow man boobies?
Yeah, soy. In Japan, women who eat the most soy are the most protected against breast cancer and also against postmenopausal hot flashes. So we took the lesson from Japan and we did a few studies here in the US. And the studies show that women with the most soy consumption have the lowest risk of breast cancer. And for those who have been already diagnosed with breast cancer, those with the highest consumption of soy and soy products have the best survival rates and the least recurrence of their breast cancer. So soy seems to be super protective against breast cancer, but also help with hot flashes in postmenopausal women. We decided to put it to a test, and we had 84 postmenopausal women, and we randomly assigned them to either follow a low-fat vegan diet, which included half a cup of cooked soybeans every day, or the other half was the control group and stayed on their usual diet. And after only 12 weeks, the severe hot flashes, those are the ones that wake you up at night, but those are also the ones that are most associated with a higher risk of diabetes and cardiovascular disease down the road. Those were reduced by 92% on the vegan diet with soybeans.
Wow.
So, getting away from the animal products, keeping the fat content relatively low, up to 30 grams a day, plus adding half a cup of cooked soybeans really helped get rid of those, severe hot flashes. Almost got rid of all of them. And when we took the moderate to severe hot flashes combined, the reduction was 88%.
Wow.
in the intervention group. So the vegan diet really helped, and the soybeans helped as well along the vegan diet. Can it grow man boobs? Well, when you look at men on the beach who have man boobs, try to ask them, do you eat any soy?
That's a good point.
I bet these guys will be like, I never ate soy. I just eat burgers, right?
They probably don't even know what soy is.
That's right. So it's not the soy. It's the processed meat, and it's the extra fat and the animal products that cause the man boobs. And let me explain. If you overeat on those animal products and those meats, and they add super high saturated fat content plus a lot of calories, they will make you fat in general, in all the other places. And your body has only a certain capacity to store fat. Once you exceed the capacity, the fat will start overflowing to other organs, around the inner organs. That's the visceral fat, but also in the liver, in the muscle, in the pancreas, in the heart. And in men, the extra fat mass will actually convert their own testosterone into estrogen.
Oh.
So you will basically grow your own factory of the extra fat that you're storing inside your body, and your own factory will cause the man boobs.
Oh.
So it's not the soy,
It's
okay?
not the soy.
The solution, if somebody is overweight and has breast enlargement as a guy, you need to lose the extra weight. And the low-fat vegan diet is the most effective way to do it, but it will not cause man boobs. You don't need to worry about it.
Well, I do know that the visceral fat, for me personally, even though I'm a woman, for the first time in my life, no diet ever got rid of that. Yeah. And with the whole food plant-based diet, it's the first time that I've ever seen my menopause or the belly that we have as women sometimes go away.
Wow.
So and so as I understand it, it's the visceral fat that's the bad fat that you want gone, that's going to give you the most protection.
Absolutely. And in women, this factory of extra fat, especially the visceral fat, is equally harmful. Because it provides extra estrogen, which increases your risk of breast cancer.
Oh.
And other types of cancer as well, but breast cancer is, the number one for women.
So if you don't have cancer, it will help you prevent it. If you do have cancer, it's safe in helping you reverse it and go through your cancer and hopefully go into remission. And if you go into remission, it will hopefully keep it away?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have higher chances of keeping it away, yes.
Awesome.
There's no guarantee in life.
Yes.
We know that you may, it's life. Sometimes you do everything right and still some women do get breast cancer even if they do everything right, but you have much, much a lower chance of getting breast cancer and dying from it.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to, I gave myself 53 years of treating my body right. There still could be things that come up that might surprise me, but now I'm treating my body right to hopefully combat those.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm going to prevent the things that could still happen.
Yeah.
So there's that way too, to look at it. You kind of have to also take the reality of what you did to your body before.
Absolutely.
Should people be worried about protein on a plant-based diet? We hear everywhere, social media, different diets, protein, menopause women, protein.
The official recommendations, only recommend roughly 50 grams of protein for women and about 60 grams of protein for men. And this need is exceeded on a whole food plant-based diet. As long as you eat enough calories, you will be getting enough protein. The major sources of protein on a plant-based diet are the beans and the tofu and the soy products, the soy milk. So all of these, if you'd like to increase your protein intake, you absolutely can. If you're an athlete, if you want to build some muscle mass, and if you're training hard, you may need more protein, and these are the best sources for you. Some hacks how to increase the protein intake on a whole food plant-based diet. Put some cannellini beans in your smoothie. You will not taste them. They will add some protein into your smoothie. Or my favorite hack is adding red lentils into my millet when I cook it for breakfast. So there are ways to increase your bean and legume consumption in general and increase the protein intake if you'd like. But for most people, they don't need to be really concerned about the protein levels. If you're just moderately physically active, you will get more than enough on a whole food plant-based diet. Be sure to include the major sources of protein, the legumes and the soy products, but rest assured that there's protein also in other foods. Even in broccoli, if you ate only broccoli and if you ate 2,000 calories from broccoli, you would get 147 grams of protein in a day, okay? So even broccoli and other vegetables, provide some protein. So don't worry, you will get enough.
So what about those people that say, well, I'm older, do I need more protein because I'm older? I've heard that because I'm older, I'm supposed to have more than those 50 or 60 grams.
So in older people, the reasoning behind is we want them to preserve muscle, and my recommendation would be actually not only preserve but try to grow their muscle and increase their upper body strength also, because in one study they recorded some older people and younger people as they were falling, because we know that the falls are the number one reason for fractures in older people. And when they were recording these younger and older people, they noticed that older people, when you slip, your arms will go in front of you, that will help you keep balance. But in older people, the movements were slower of the arms, and they went more laterally because of insufficient muscles in their upper body. So that just stresses the importance, as we're getting older, we need to do some resistance training. We need to train our shoulders and our upper body muscles. And if we want to grow those muscles, we need to challenge them. It's not enough to eat only protein. We need to do some weightlifting. okay?
So for those people that have never done the strength training and have never done the weightlifting and they're older and they might have already had knee surgeries, shoulder surgeries, how do they go about it safely? And should they do just a lot of repetitions of lighter weights? Should they stay with the lighter weights? Should they go to machines? Like, what would you recommend for them if they're intimidated by that?
Yeah, we always start small and safe. Safety is number one. If you've had any surgeries, you also need to stay within the limits of your motions, whatever it is for you, and start light and gradually increase, either in frequency, and challenge yourself just a little bit with the weights, not too much.
So don't jump into the 10 pounders. Do even like 1 pounders.
Exactly.
Cans.
And in the whether the machines or the dumbbells, like either way is fine, whatever works for you. Just start slowly and gradually increase as your muscle mass will build up.
Okay. And one thing that I noticed when we started is by the second or third day, we had pain from the workouts. Yes. So that can be scary because we thought we had hurt ourselves, but it was actually our muscles showing us that they were repairing now, yes, but not necessarily hurt, because our inclination was like, let's run to the doctor. We hurt ourselves on the machines or the weights. So it's not necessarily that. It could be that you worked your muscles well.
That's
but
right.
Pay attention, I guess.
But also give your body the time to recuperate. So if you're feeling pain, you don't go over the pain and you don't train in spite of the pain. You let your body, heal the damage and just recover. And when you feel well again, you train again.
Okay, awesome.
Consistency pays off.
Weights?
It's not like doing some Olympic athlete performance. It's not doing the most weight you can. It's just the consistency. So start small, start light, but be persistent and be consistent.
So does that mean a couple of times a week or every day, or do you just do it and wait for the self-repair and then wait 2 or 3 days and do it again?
3 to 4 times a week is a good start.
Okay.
Because then it'll give you like a day of rest when you can do something else in the meantime. You can do hiking, you can do some cardio, or let's say you can also switch it up. One day you can do upper body, the second day you can do lower body, and the third day you can do some high intensity workout or cardio or some hiking or swimming or biking, like whatever your activity is. But if you can switch it up throughout the week, that really helps, because then your muscles have time to recover.
And different muscles probably. What do you say to patients that, and this is a common question that we get, I need to do it, I want to do it, they might have health issues, but none of their family wants to come along. What do you recommend?
Yeah, we often encounter this in our research studies. Sometimes people are just alone in their whole family, and it makes it a little bit more challenging. But I would say if you have a plan, it's not too bad. You just do the meal prep, you also take some of the family recipes and you look at them. Can I tweak them? Can I make them vegan? Can I make them healthy? So our dietitians usually help these people, think through how to tweak those recipes that are family favorites, and experiment with some recipes that your family may like. You don't need to advertise it. It's completely vegan. You don't need to tell them that. Just prepare a meal, fix a good meal, and you may be surprised. They may really like it, and later they will find out, oh, it's vegan. Okay.
And they might enjoy it.
Exactly.
You slowly convince them to enjoy it.
We've had quite a few study participants who, started as the only one in their family. And then they were like, I prepared my meal and my husband ate it because he liked it. So, your family may come along. Give them some time. Make some effort in preparing some healthy and delicious dishes at the same time. It may take you a while. Don't feel discouraged when not every recipe will turn out the way you'd like. Some recipes may be a disaster, which is okay, but some will be a success, and you will keep them and you will build on them.
And they'll start becoming maybe new family recipes.
Yeah, exactly.
New family traditions.
Where to start would be a dessert. And sometimes people are like, how do I make like a healthy vegan dessert? So let me give you a chocolate mousse recipe that's super healthy and easy. You take silken tofu. They usually come in a box that's shelf stable. You can buy them on Amazon. Morinu has great shelf stable tofu. So you take silken tofu, which is soft. You put it in the blender and you put some cocoa powder and some maple syrup. That's it, only 3 ingredients. And then you put it in the fridge, and then you put it in some parfaits, and then with fresh fruit, fresh berries. Oh, it's delicious. And
people, I currently have that in my fridge.
People cannot believe it's tofu. They're delicious. Like, it's not possible. It's so smooth. It almost feels decadent.
It feels guilty.
Yeah.
It feels guilty, but decadent is a good word because we've moved away from the guilty, and we currently have vanilla and chocolate in our fridge as part of the food prep that we keep. So that's his flavor. My flavor is the vanilla one.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So that's a way to start. Start with some simple recipes. Try a bunch of them. And I bet your family will come along.
You will land a recipe. That's the whole point of this. You will land a recipe with your family. Okay, GLP-1s are the hot thing right now. People are paying $1,300 a month for them. Some of their insurance covers it. Some people's insurance don't, and they are paying out of pocket. Now some of these GLP-1s are saying that they have stationary $500 a month. And it's cheaper and it'll save your life. So if you go on a GLP-1, I've also read, heard, and everything that the plant-based diet can mimic a GLP-1. But also, if you are on a GLP-1, can you stay on it forever? And maybe you can give us some perspective on the whole GLP-1 issue.
Yeah. Studies show that medications such as Wegovy and Ozempic and other GLP-1 receptor agonists, they work for a while, but even if you stay on them, the weight loss will eventually stop and you will not be losing any more weight. And once you discontinue those medications, you will regain the weight fairly quickly. So that just highlights the importance of changing your diet no matter what. Whether you want to be on those medications or whether you want to just focus on lifestyle only and stay away from those medications. No matter what your choice is, you need to do something with your diet, because sooner or later you will hit a plateau even on those medications, and if you discontinue them, then you will regain all the weight back. That's what studies show. But the good news is that a vegan diet can actually boost your GLP-1 secretion. We did an experiment on this, and we gave people 2 sandwiches in a random order. These were people with type 2 diabetes whose GLP-1 secretion is diminished. So that's why many of these people, opt in and want to have these medications, because it really helps them with GLP-1 secretion and with their body weight and also with their glycemic control. So we gave these people with type 2 diabetes 2 sandwiches. Both had the same calories, 455 calories, either as a meat-containing sandwich from McDonald's or a vegan sandwich, but the energy was the same. And as expected, after the meat-containing sandwich, the GLP-1 secretion was kind of flat, no increase after the meal. But after the vegan sandwich, there was a nice peak in GLP-1 secretion that would be comparable to these medications. So instead of paying for the medications, you can pay and enjoy the food that you're eating.
So does the GLP-1, does it tell you to stop eating? So are you saying then that I can just go have a vegan sandwich and that vegan sandwich is going to tell me to stop eating?
Yeah, that's a part of it. The GLP-1 is a hormone. It stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's secreted in the small intestine when we eat a meal. And one of the functions is that it stimulates your brain and promotes satiety in the brain. Other functions include increased insulin secretion and also regulation of glucose production in the liver. So it helps with glycemic control, and it also helps with weight loss. And it's a hormone that our body secretes. We can help boost the GLP-1 secretion by eating a vegan meal and also by eating breakfast every day. Eating breakfast every day stimulates GLP-1 secretion and increases it by 30%.
Wow, so it almost feels like I'm going to save money on a vegan diet, because we've actually saved money on a whole foods and plant-based diet, because we cut our grocery bill to a third of what it used to be, because we had so much meat in our diet, and meat was so expensive. I thought it was going to be expensive, and it ended up being less expensive. So I'm going to save money, but yet I'm GLP-1.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. How about we get to know a little bit about how you live because I'm assuming that you're whole foods plant-based.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is how you live your life. So what are your favorite things and tips and foods to eat, snacks, breakfast, lunch? What things do you make it your lifestyle? What things do you do to make it your lifestyle?
I eat only 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, which makes it simple. Then I need to plan only 2 meals. Instapot is my friend, so when I wake up, I can just start my Instapot and put in some millet with red lentils, and that's, some people like oatmeal. I personally love millet. I love the taste, and I add the red lentils for the extra protein because I'm physically active, and eat it with fruit. And that's usually my breakfast. It can be also a savory breakfast. Another favorite recipe is baked potatoes with tofu and onions. You just chop everything in cubes. You put a little bit of soy sauce on your tofu, some garlic powder, a little bit of cayenne pepper, and some herb and garlic spices on your potatoes. And you just bake everything in the oven at 400 for about 25 minutes or so. Then you need to stir it to make sure that it's not it's not burning. And then you bake it for another 15 minutes or so, and it's done. And it's delicious. It's a great savory breakfast.
Filling.
Yeah, super filling
and satiating.
And my favorite lunch would include some legumes. So like a lentil soup is really my favorite. I love lentil soup. I personally put not only lentils but also buckwheat and some black rice and some red rice into the mix, and a little bit of salsa to give it like a kick. That's my super favorite recipe, because again, it's fast. I can cook it in an Instapot while I'm doing something else, and it makes a good combo with those baked potatoes. If I don't have them for breakfast, I may have them for lunch. Those baked potatoes with tofu and onions. This is a simple recipe that can be tweaked based on whatever else you want to have with it,
or what you like.
Exactly. Like spinach and some leafy greens, or a salad. Like I like the versatile options. I like having a few options in the fridge and then just combining them.
Variety.
Yeah, exactly.
Variety. So you touched on 2 meals a day, and I know people are going to ask, What are your recommendations on fasting? Should we fast? Can we do multiple meals a day? What is the best thing for the body?
Studies have shown that fasting is a fantastic way to promote your health, not only to prevent and even treat diabetes, but also for the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease and other chronic conditions. And you know, sometimes people may feel overwhelmed. Fasting, you know, that sounds like going without food for too long. That doesn't sound enjoyable. So skipping just one meal a day is super simple, and it's something everybody can do. And that's called intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating. So let's say if you have only breakfast and lunch, that would be early time-restricted eating. And you're skipping dinner, you're skipping only one meal a day. That's completely doable. You will be looking forward to your breakfast the next morning. As a result, your breakfast will be bigger, which in a study that I analyzed in the Adventist Health Study too, we analyzed the data from more than 50,000 people. And we found that eating breakfast as the largest meal was one of the protective factors and was beneficial for the waistline, for weight management. And we also found that those people who ate only 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, were better off in terms of their weight management compared with those who ate 3 meals a day or even more. So we actually decided to put it to the test in a randomized clinical trial, and we took 54 people with type 2 diabetes, and we randomly assigned them to either eat only 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, or 6 small meals throughout the day for 12 weeks. And then after 12 weeks, they switched to the opposite intervention. And we found that people lost more weight, 50% more weight on 2 meals a day. They lost more liver fat, their insulin sensitivity improved more, their blood sugar and also their insulin were reduced more on 2 meals a day. Even their depressive symptoms were less on 2 meals a day.
So natural antidepressant.
Yeah, exactly. And the kicker is that people felt less hungry on 2 meals a day, which was a complete surprise because many people were hesitant to join the study because they thought, I don't know if I can do the 2 meals a day. Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the study, most people decided to stick with it for life because it was so easy, so convenient, and they felt so good on it.
So that's a study, and you're feeding them the food. But if people decide to take this avenue and try to do the 2 meals a day, are they supposed to pack it in for that breakfast and lunch? And if they find themselves that they're not satiated by dinner, should they have maybe incorporated more food, or what are your recommendations so that they don't get to that dinner, have to sleep the night, and be starving when they wake up?
It usually takes roughly 2 or 3 days to adjust to this new schedule. You know, in the first few days, you will feel hungry in the evening because that's when you're used to eating your dinner. So give your body the time to adjust to the new schedule. And as you adjust, automatically you will feel more hungry in the morning, you will eat a bigger breakfast, you will also eat a little bit more for lunch, and that way after a few days of this, your body will figure it out and you will not feel hungry anymore in the evening.
And probably not, your body will probably not request as much too.
That's right.
So if you naturally gravitate to eat more and you're choosing the right things, you're eating more, but yet you're being healthier because you're keeping it at 2 meals. So that's okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So this is some questions from our foodies that have asked also, can you be successful at losing weight and reversing disease with some fat and oils? And we discussed the Mediterranean diet. So I don't know if we should even expand on that, or if you can address they are on a plant-based diet, but they want to keep fats, but they want to keep using a little bit of oils. But maybe they've remove the seafood and it's not Mediterranean, it's more whole food plant-based, and they're believing it's more whole food plant-based, but they're leaving oils and fats.
To give you a scientific answer to this question, Monica Agarwal did a study with a whole food plant-based diet that either included 4 tablespoons of olive oil a day or less than a teaspoon of olive oil. And people, she found out that keeping the fat content super low, less than a teaspoon of olive oil a day, was more beneficial for their body weight, but also for their cholesterol and for other health outcomes. So we already know that a whole food plant-based diet, when it's low in fat, has more beneficial effects than when it's higher in fat. In fact, in our studies, when somebody is not losing weight, it always comes down to having extra fat in their diet, whether it comes from soy creamer they use in their coffee or extra oil. It always comes down to extra fat. Once we remove the extra fat, then the weight loss kicks in. And just to be clear, we recommend a low-fat vegan diet in our studies. It's not a no-fat diet. There's still fat, that's in the foods that you're eating. The nut and seed consumption is fairly small, but there's some. So you still get some fat in the diet.
And some things like flax meal, people don't realize they already have saturated fat, but they're healthy fats, but we still need to keep it at a low fat. I know that in the beginning we made the mistake that we went avocado, nuts, but it's plant-based. And then we had to dissect and figure out where those fats were getting us.
That's right.
And we have what the foodies know is our peanut butter chronicles. So Jay kept going into the peanut butter jar and we couldn't figure out why he had stagnated and I was doing good. So once we figured that out and we took it out, lo and behold, he was equal to what I was doing. Then we had the creamer chronicles because he remained with dairy creamer and I had taken it out. And he watched me be losing weight and reversing my things, and just the dairy creamer was left in our lifestyle. And just the dairy creamer kept him on one medication. Once he removed it, everything changed.
Wow.
Many people have said plant-based diet can't be done while fighting Candida. True or not? This came from one of our foodies as well.
So just to explain, Candida is a yeast. So some people believe that introducing more carbohydrate in the diet may actually make the yeast infection worse. And it's a complicated question because there's no one answer that would fit everybody. Some people may find that even with all the carbohydrates, they're completely fine and the yeast will eventually go away. But for some people, I heard a few people who said that they absolutely cannot have any starches in the diet. Like potatoes would be a starchy food and that they need to be, but we need to keep in mind that this is just for a limited period of time to get rid of the yeast infection. So for a limited period of time, some people may need to be diligent about not eating the starches on the whole food plant-based diet and opt in for more of the protein, the soy and the legumes instead of eating more of the starches. They may eat more of the non-starchy vegetables. So for a limited time until they get rid of the yeast infection, this may be a better prescription for them. And it's completely doable. Just depending on how your body responds, you may need to limit your starch consumption for a while until you get rid of the yeast infection.
Until you get rid of the yeast infection, but it's not like when you reintroduce the starchy vegetables that it's going to bring it back?
So I've heard of some cases where somebody is really sensitive and maybe may need to be careful about their starches even for a longer time because they are prone to bringing it back. So it depends on your particular case.
Okay.
It may be an acute yeast infection which just goes away and then you reintroduce the starches and don't have any problems with candida again. Or if your case is more chronic, you may need to be more careful with the starches for the long term.
Okay. You call it a vegan diet, and a vegan diet can have fried foods and processed and high fat and saturated fats. So, and you've explained now through our conversation that vegan diet, low fat is what we're looking for. So for those people, would it be even more descriptive to say whole foods, plant-based, low fat for those that are so honed in on, well, I don't want to be a vegan?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can say either a low-fat vegan diet to make sure that we understand that we also keep the fat content low on the low-fat vegan diet, or we can say a whole food plant-based diet or a low-fat whole food plant-based diet.
Thank you so much for spending the time and answering all these questions. It's incredible to have a doctor, a scientist providing this information to us, because there's so much information out there, especially in social media and the internet. One of the things that I love to stress is don't believe me. Do your research and make sure it comes from reputable sources. So having a reputable source like you is priceless. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Foodies. Bye.
Bye.
Have a happy day.